Hi 7th graders. Today we are going to work on lesson 6.2.4, using a table to write equations from word problems. Pause the video and write that as your title, and make sure you open up your book. Whenever you're ready, you can press play again. Six point 2.4, how can I represent it? Using a table to write equations from word problems. In the last few lessons, you used algebra tiles and equation mats to solve problems in which variables represented specific numbers. The tile and equation mat tools are related to the processes you have used to solve word problems in which a specific value is unknown. Today you will connect these two tools and the expressions you wrote using a part of the 5D process to extend your repertoire for solving problems. The first problem you can write down is 693, the 5D process revisited. Use the 5D process to set up and the following problem. Complete only 3 trials. Even if you do not yet know the solution, wait for your teacher's instructions. The Great Lakes contain the largest amount of fresh water on the surface of the planet. Combined, the 5 lakes, Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario, contain 84% of North America's and 21% of the world's surface fresh water. The amount of water in Lake Superior is 1,720 cubic miles more than the amount of water in Lake Michigan. Lake Huron has 330 cubic miles of water less than Lake Michigan. If the total amount of water in the 3 lakes is 4,930 cubic miles, how much water is in each lake? Check the reasonableness of the amounts of water you found for each lake by using estimation strategies. Does the total volume of the 3 lakes seem reasonable? Okay, so we are going to use part of the 5D process to solve this problem. So let's set it up together. The first part of the 5D process is describe and draw. So I'm going to write describe and draw, and you should be doing the same thing as well. Okay, so in describe and draw, that's where we write what we know. So we would say, I'm going to go back to the first part of my problem here. The amount of water in Lake Superior is 1,720 cubic miles more than the amount of water in Lake Michigan. So I'm going to write Lake Superior, I'm just going to write LS equals 1,720 more than Lake Michigan. And I like to just abbreviate to make it simpler. You can write it out if you'd like to. Lake Huron, our next sentence, has 330 cubic miles of water less than Lake Michigan. So Lake Huron equals Lake Michigan minus 330 cubic miles. If the total amount of water in the 3 lakes is 4,930 cubic miles, how much water is in each lake? So I have Lake Superior plus Lake Michigan plus Lake Huron. If I add all of those together, it equals 4,930. Okay, so the next part of the 5D process, I'm going to set up my table. I'm going to leave room to write titles there. So make sure that your notebook ends up looking the same as my notes. Remember, we have 3 columns. And the first column is define. The second column is do. And the third column is decide. So in define, you break it up into as many numbers as you need to find. So in our case, we have 3. We have Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, and Lake Huron. So I'm going to split it into 3, and then I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to write Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, and Lake Huron. And the do part, I'm trying to decide if they all equal 4,930 cubic miles together. So I would say add all together in the do part, and then decide, like we just said, we need to decide if they total 4,930 cubic miles. Okay, and then I'm going to go back and look at what I wrote in describe and draw here. So it looks like to find Lake Superior, I have to have Lake Michigan plus 1,720. For Lake Huron, I have to have Lake Michigan minus 4,730. So that's where I can decide what I need to guess first. And since I need to know Lake Michigan before each of those, I'm going to label Lake Michigan X because I'm going to guess that one first, and then I can find the others. So X in relation to Lake Superior would be 1,720 plus X for Lake Superior, and Lake Huron is X. I have Lake Michigan is X minus that 330. So then I'd add all of them together, and then I need to decide. So now I'm going to start with my first trial, and I'm going to write trial 1 over here. And remember, it said that you're only going to do 3 trials. I will do the first one with you, and then I will let you do trial 2 and trial 3 on your own. So for trial 1, use a marker. So all of these together have to equal 4,930. So let's say I were to guess X is 1,000. So I know I'd have 1,000 here, and then I'd have 1,720 plus 1,000. So that gets me to almost 3,000. And then I would have 1,000 minus that would be 700-ish. So if I have 3,000 plus 1,000 plus 7,000, that's going to get me pretty close to 4,930. So I think 1,000 is where I want to guess. And that was part of the problem where it said to estimate first so that you know you're guessing something reasonable. Because I know that if I guess only like 10, that's not going to end up getting me anywhere near 4,930. So if Lake Michigan is 1,000, Lake Superior would be 1,000 plus 1,720. So hopefully you can see that would be 2,720. And then here I would have X minus 1,000 or X minus 330. So if I have 1,000 minus 330, I'm going to have to do some borrowing. 0 minus 0 I know is 0. Then here I have to borrow from the 1. Becomes a 0. That becomes a 10. That'll be 9. And then this becomes a 10. So 10 minus 3 is 7. 9 minus 3 is 6. So here Lake Huron would be 670. I'm going to change back to my text. All right, so I have 2,720 plus 1,000 plus 670. You can pause the video here if I'm going too fast at any point. I'm going to use my calculator to add those 3 together. So I have, 1 second, 2,720 plus 1,000 plus 670 equals 4,390. So we're pretty close there. Write that. 4,390. So we have all the right numbers. They're not in the right order. So I need to write no here, and that would be too small. So your next job is to go through and do trial 2 and trial 3 and see if you can get up to 4,930. So if 1,000 was too small for X, try guessing something a little bit bigger. Remember, you don't have to finish solving it. You just have to do trial 2 and trial 3. So please pause the video and do that, and you don't have to do declare. Pause the video, do those 2 steps before you press play again. Okay, The next problem is 694, go for the gold. As you saw in problem 693, sometimes organizing your thinking using the 5D process to solve a word problem involves a lot of work. Sometimes the tables are very complicated or the numbers require many trials to find the answer. How can your new equation solving skills help you solve word problems? Read the following word problem and then answer the questions below. While looking at the country of Jamaica's results from the 2008 Beijing Olympics, Gemma noticed that the number of gold medals Jamaica received was twice the number of silver medals. She also realized that Jamaica received one fewer bronze medal than silver medals. Altogether, Jamaica received 11 medals. A. Gemma started by setting up the 5D process table below. What did she define X to represent? Okay. So if I look and define here, it says number of gold is 2x, number of silver is x, number of bronze is x minus 1. So she decided x equals the number of silver medals, because I had to know what silver was to figure out twice that for gold and one less than that for bronze, like it said up here in our problem. B. How did she represent the number of gold and bronze medals? So if I look at gold medals, gold is twice as many as silver because it's 2 x's, and then bronze is 1 less than silver, which is x. So C says write an equation for the total number of medals. And it says total number of medals in the do part. So if I were trying to find the total number of medals, I would add up the gold medals, the silver medals, and the bronze medals. And for this one, since we don't know the exact number, what they want you to do is use X to represent the number of medals for each. So the way I would do that, I'm going to write C down here. I would add 2x for gold plus x for silver plus x minus 1, and all of those together we need to get 11 medals. So if I add all of those, that should equal 11. And one thing we've been working on is combining like terms. So I would go back here and I would combine the like terms that I have. So all x's can go together and then integers stay by themselves. So the number of x's I have are 2x plus x plus x. That would be 4 x's total minus 1. That stays by itself. And then when I do 4x minus 1, that should equal 11. D says, solve your equation in part C. What is the value of x? So if I'm going to solve my equation now, I need to get x by itself. So the way I get x by itself, first I need to undo any adding or subtracting. So here I have a minus 1. To undo minus 1, I'm going to add 1. And if I add 1 to the left side of my equation, I have to add 1 to the right side of my equation. So then I'm going to end up with 4x equals 12. And then the way I would get rid of 4 x's is I would divide by 4. So instead of 4 times x, I will do divided by 4. And on the left, that would leave me with just x, because 4 divided by 4 is 1, so that gives me 1x. And 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So the value of x here is 3, and that represents 3 is the number of silver medals. How many gold medals did Jamaica earn? Since gold is twice that, gold medals would be 3 times 2 would be 6. Okay, so to end here, you need to finish problems 95, and then you can get your homework from your teacher. Have fun and good luck. Ask if you have any questions.